Welcome back to Coach Cameron's podcast. Today I'll be talking about my philosophy a little bit based on a question I received from a listener. And this listener says, "Hello again. I coach birth year 06 boys and a birth year 09 boys. I love the idea of kids doing ball work at home, but few of my kids do it. At your team practice sessions, how much time do you spend on technical training versus game-like training? Is it a difference for different ages? How about your college teams? This is a hot topic these days. I'm wondering if your views have changed over time." My views have not changed over time far as what my goals are. Now, far as how much technical training I do versus tactical and small games and stuff like that for team development, that changed. That changed based on what I have and what community I'm in. So let's just first start out with what matters to me. Ball mastery matters. It's number one. If your kids can understand, if they can maintain the ball, and I always say this, if a player can maintain the ball under pressure in a 1v2 situation, meaning two defenders, in a 5x5 area for 5 seconds, they took the pebble from my hand or from their sensei's hand, and they are free to really enjoy the game of soccer. Because the rest is so much easier if you're not scared to have the ball. Passing, receiving is easier. The whole game is easy. But you have to get through that first part, which takes a lifetime, it seems, or work. You got to find a way to convince the kids to train at home. They have to dribble at home. So the reason I make that my number one focus is because there's a soccer club called Santos. Santos is an organization that when I was growing up, I played for the Shamrocks and Cisco back in the day, and there's this little club called Santos. Santos was a club that basically they trained 5 days a week. They just did dribbling, and then small play, and then they play games on the weekend. Their focus was dribbling with the ball, fitness, and small group games, and then they play on the weekends. Basically 7 days a week. So they outworked the competition. Santos produced more players than any other club in the history of Arizona in a small amount of time. I mean, you got players like Pablo Mastroni, who played on the U.S. national team. You got Ryan Turner, who ended up playing for, I think, Notre Dame. Evan Whitfield, who played played in the Olympics and played for Duke University. I mean, they produced so many players, and every one of them was technical. Every one of them. I was always fascinated by it. So I remember training with them one summer just because I wanted to learn technique. And they didn't do anything special. It was basically a whistle. It was like cut, 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 whistle, 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 whistle. And you're just like, oh, my gosh, nonstop. And then you go and play and, 5v5 and 4v4, and that's it. It was hard work. I didn't like it. But I was fascinated by it. So when I became a coach, I copied what they did and made it my own. But what I did was I did extreme dribbling, meaning I'm like, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to make dribbling fun. So I was introducing all these new moves and, really make it fun. And what I learned over time is if you can teach moves or get the kids to try new moves and create new moves, we'd always create moves. I spent a lot of time, having kids dribbling sessions in small groups and creating moves. And then if they created a move, I would name it after them, put it on YouTube and stuff like that. I would do whatever it took to get them to buy in to love dribbling. And what I learned over time is when you do that, when you're teaching them off-balance dribbling, they became quicker and faster. And that's when I started focus on extreme dribbling and the importance of, doing ball manipulation and learning how to move differently, which would actually make you quicker and faster. So it was speed training as well. But that's another podcast. But ball mastery is number one. It's so number one. You'd be better off if you're only trained twice a week. They better be training at home. They have to be trained at home. But if you're training twice a week, I would do ball manipulation and 1v1 and sell them on the importance of that. Then on weekends when you have games, I would use the games as opportunities for tactic development and do more training and tell the parents, listen, we don't have time. If we have 2 games on the weekend, use the 1 hour session before the game, the warm up, as your tactical session. If you're able to have that, if you have able to warm up and stuff, I would work on tactics then, or reverse it. If you had to do tactics and small group play and stuff to develop your teams during the week, then you have to use technical at the weekend. You have to use all the hours you possibly have. I was always focused on maximizing my time. It changed a bit on that because I'm older and it hurts to demonstrate. I mean, my knees are jacked up and I have no cartilage in either one. And when I do a long, hour session demoing and all that stuff, I can't walk for a week. So then I've been trying to shift things by having the kids I've taught moves to showcase for me and all that. But I really am trying to get them convinced on, with the power of the internet and stuff, I'm really trying to get these kids to focus on training at home. And then I would challenge them. I'm like, if anyone can show me a new move, something I haven't seen, or something that is, something I've seen but exciting, I would focus on that. I am so sorry. I have to stop this podcast and bring you an advertisement from Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place. You can do it from your phone or your computer. Anchor also gives you creation tools that will allow you to record a great podcast with editabilities. They'll distribute your podcast in so many different places like Spotify, Apple, Google Play, and much more. You can easily make money from your podcast as well. Please go download Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Now enjoy the rest of this podcast. So ball mastery is number one. Got to get it done. But then you have the game component. So the game component is very important. If you can get your parents and your kids to really understand what the real goals on developing team is through a basic math principle, through just simple data of how many times does your kid or each player receive the ball in a pressure situation, which is a real game with real referees and the whole gamut of where there's going to be a win and a loss and parents are going to be freaking out. How many times can you get your kids to get touches on the ball in a real situation? So when they're in that situation, they can learn so many things because the whole adrenaline component. If they're able to receive the ball, handle the ball under pressure, beat a player with one of the moves you're teaching where, say it's a pull back behind roll and go. That's a common move I teach. And it's very simple to do, but applying in a game is very difficult. If they can pull that off, the amount of memory that'll happen in that situation is phenomenal. It's ridiculous versus doing it in practice. The pressure of a game is huge. That's why it's so important to really educate your parents to really allow the kids to fail. They fail in a game environment to the point where they don't fail. You have to go through that learning process, but you got to get a buy-in from your parents and say, listen, we got a point system. And here's a simple point system. You need the parents to track the kids. Every time they receive the ball, and which direction did they pass it? Did they pass the ball forward or backwards? Did it go to their team or the opposing team out of bounds? Just simplify it. What are they doing? How many times are they actually touching the ball? How many times they're having successful passes? That needs to be recorded, and the parents need to record that so they really can see what's going on. A quick story. I'm coaching the 96 Hammers, and we're in State Cup, and we're playing TSA. Like I think I mentioned in another podcast or this one, I can't remember, but we're playing TSA. They haven't lost a game in 2 years. We ended up beating them 2-0. It's amazing. We had the ball the whole time. And we dictated the pace of the game and really took them out of the game of soccer, and they didn't know how to deal with it because we just kept the ball. After the game, I had a parent yell at me, "You didn't play my daughter enough," or whatever, and I'm like, and I didn't, because in Arizona at the time, it was you had so many subs per half, and they tried to do all these dumb rules, and you can't make subs. You only have so many, and so she didn't play much, and she wasn't one of the better players, but he didn't see that. That same summer, I made all the parents do the point system again, and he was new to it. And after the game, he came to me and goes, "I now understand." It was very basic to see, but he couldn't see it unless he wrote it down, and he saw the difference, because the points are the points. Either you're passing it to our team, or you're not. Based on the system I was playing, it really helped him understand, and he apologized for it. Like a month later, he finally understood. And it was through the simplistic math formula. How many times did they were successful or not in touches on the ball. But anyways, the game environment is so important, because you have to be able to touch the ball in a real game situation and be able to really feel the pressure of that and be successful. But you have to go through failure to get to that. So the math formula, or the system I use on that, I start with this system of dribble the ball until you have a pass. If you have a pass, an easy pass, make it early and often. If you don't, dribble until you can find one. I'd rather you lose it dribbling than on some goofy pass. Just keep the ball. I like the ball being moved when it's easy, because then everyone gets a chance to touch the ball, and it's a big race of how many times you can get your kids to touch the ball in a game environment feeling comfortable. And it's simple math, and that's what people don't understand. Coaches and teams out there are not willing to lose by developing players. They're not. They're scared to pass it back to the keeper. I've never been that way, ever. I've always had the conviction, development at all times, because I wanted to win. The only way you can win at the highest levels in youth soccer and beat anybody with a weaker team, if you want to be a more athletic team, the only way is with intelligent thought, keeping the ball, and really controlling it. I go back to the reason of that, the thought process of that. I was on the Cisco State Champions. We went to Dallas Cup and played in the Super Group. We were playing Taiwichi, which won Dallas Cup 3 years in a row at the time, and in the Super Group, mind you. So we're playing Taiwichi. These Taiwichi kids from Bolivia, they're tiny, half our size. This is U19. We could not get the ball from them. I think I touched the ball twice. I was so I was just trying to kick them. I couldn't even kick them. They're so quick and so technical. There's nothing you can do about it. And we lost 10-0. I almost quit soccer after that. But it ingrained in my mind the importance of intelligence and first touch, and not being scared to have the ball. And it can be learned through doing or putting the kids in the situation and doing rules of keeping the ball and move the ball when it's easy, so everyone gets that math. It's a big race. How many times can you touch the ball in a real game, in a real pressure, where you're producing adrenaline? Those are memory drugs. They can be bad memories or they can be good memories. You need to put them in that situation where they're good, where it's okay to fail, and then when you have success, it's just the kids will remember it forever, and then they can do it forever, and then you move on to the next move, or it spins and turns away from players to lose them. I mean, even those basic moves is a big deal when you can do it in a game. So that's important. Open play. So how small side games, all that stuff. I believe in open play with older, more advanced players. Find a way for that to happen. Right now, I currently have my son, Jack and Jet, developing a soccer league, which I still got to get on them for that. We did it before, but I want a neighborhood league in my backyard. We had it once before, like maybe 5 years ago, where kids would just knock on my door to play Jack and Jet in the backyard. I'm going to develop that again. They need to play more. You need to it's a culture thing. You need to create a culture in your backyard, if that's possible, or your neighborhood park. I would always bring older kids, college kids, to play my players. So if you have 06s, find a 03 team and find the most technical players on that team to play with your kids. Got to do that. I have the luxury of bringing a lot of my kids to play against my college kids, where it's we'll do 3v3 or 4v4, but I have one college kids on each team, and they learn so much from playing with older players that are directing them, telling them what to do. They learn more from players than they'll ever learn from a coach. Pickup games. I find a way to get your kids to do pickup games, anywhere and everywhere. Find a way for them to feel comfortable doing that, and just enjoy meeting other people and doing it with supervision, of course. But find a way to do pickup games. Create pickup games. Create backyard leagues. Play against older players. Anytime you can do that, the better it's going to be. But it's just be creative. I always change my approach as far as how do I sell these kids and families to do this, and it's hard. I know this was a long podcast, but I'm very passionate about it. There's so many different things to think about, but I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any more questions about as far as what can we do as far as soccer development and different creative ways, let me know, and I'll get back to it. But I appreciate you listening, and hopefully this long podcast, this is one of my longest podcasts ever, based on a question from a listener. So thank you from the wonderful area of Washington State. I want to go back. So green, so nice. That'd be awesome. So anyways, thanks for your question. Hopefully that helped. Maybe it was too much. I don't know. But I'll definitely break down this topic over and over again if people want to hear it. All right. Thank you. Goodbye.